Hello everyone and welcome to another review. Today we're going to go ahead and review a fragrance that was just released this year of 2014. It is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, none other than Homme Sport. Now, here's a preview of what it actually looks like. So as you can see from the video, it's kind of designed the same exact way, and I brought my Homme bottle just because I'm going to compare it with this in many different facets and ways. So I actually did the review off of many samples, basically, that I picked up at Macy's. I really didn't want to go ahead and buy the fragrance just because I tried it a couple times and I kind of felt like I was going to experience something similar and didn't want to basically waste money on it and then turn around and sell it. So I basically grabbed about 5 of these samples and burned through them in order to do my review. Alright, so the bottle is very similar, as you can see, to this bottle, only it has Sport on it, as you can see from the pictures. And fragrance was released in 2014. The prices for this fragrance are, for the 1.3, you're going to pay $52. For the 2.0 ounces we're talking about, you're going to pay $65. And for the 3.3, you're going to pay $85. So size comparison wise, this is the 60 milliliter or the 2.0. This is, the size that you're looking at. The longer elongated bottles are the bigger ones, and the smaller, like, you'll know what I'm talking about, is the smallest size, which is the 1.3. The parfumers of this, or the parfumées of this, are Anne Filippo and Juliette. Now her last name is hard to pronounce, but I'm gonna try. Karaguezoglu is the second parfumé of this particular fragrance. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the notes for this fragrance. The notes consist of, at our top, we have bergamot, aldehydes, and verbena. For our mid, we have woody notes and coriander. And for our base, we have amber and cedar. So the smell of this fragrance, I can tell you right off the bat, a lot of this review is going to be comparing it to the original Homme fragrance. I'm doing a lot of comparisons because it is a flanker of it. Homme Sport is supposed to be a flanker of it. And when you take a look at the notes, they don't seem too similar at all. But when I spray it, I can tell you right now, Homme Sport smells very, very similar to Homme. Which is really what got me curious of the notes. So when you spray it, you kind of get this creamy citrus type of a smell. Not really the same that you get in Homme, but you do get a creamy citrus type of a smell to it. And as it dies down, and this is really the main change of where Homme Sport kind of differentiates itself from Homme. Homme kind of takes this apple pie-ish sort of vibe that I've described. It doesn't really smell like apple, but it reminds me of apple pie. Whereas this takes this, I want to say, like verbena, spicy, coriander-ish type of a vibe that takes it down, that kind of smells similar to a lot of sport fragrances that are out there, the way they do this. In fact, when I think about it, Chanel Allure Homme Sport kind of did the same thing with how it uses the spices to kind of take it down and kind of give it this sporty-ish, at the same time, sort of, I want to say, like spicy kind of a mix into it. And Homme Sport does the exact same thing that most of those other sport fragrances do. So for those type of purposes, when I'm describing a typical sport scent, that's what Homme Sport does. It really doesn't do anything groundbreaking or anything like that. That said, as I mentioned earlier, it smells very, very similar to Homme. They're both very similar fragrances that take a minor detour when you're talking about which direction they actually turn into. Now, the one thing that really got me curious when looking at the notes is, in Homme Sport, and I actually just sprayed this one again, in Homme Sport, I can almost swear that I'm picking out this tonka note in it, and tonka is not listed in it. Tonka is listed in the original one, but in this one, and I could be wrong. So it's either one of two things. Either, I'm being tricked in terms of, the mixing of notes, which is very, very possible, or the companies or somebody's bullshitting with the notes that they're actually putting in these fragrances or listing the notes. So either one is very possible. But I maintain that really they both smell very, very similar, and I really do have a hard time kind of coming to grips with the fact that there are so different notes supposedly for both of them, right? But you never know. Just go by with what the company I guess says. Now the other main difference, and we're going to go into it. Spray wise, I generally go anywhere between 3 and 5 sprays, right? 3 and 5 sprays I give it because even though overall this does smell like L'Homme, so again, a creamy citrus, it's going to kind of dry down to this woody scent, it's kind of, or this woody background, and at the same time bringing in notes where it has that, at least on this one, spices with the coriander, and it kind of brings it down to this base sporty type of a scent. So sporty citrus type of a scent, but it still has the same vibe as L'Homme. For that reason, I actually go a little bit more on the sprays for this one. I go anywhere between 3 and 6 sprays. The reason why I go a little bit heavier is because unlike L'Homme, I would never go 6 sprays at this point with L'Homme. Unlike L'Homme Sport, it's weaker. It's definitely weaker. I have heard some people say that it's stronger, that they get better projection out of it, and it's possible that on their skin it possibly, it does better. But on my skin, the original L'Homme clearly does better, and it's not even really a guess with the performance. Performance-wise, we're looking at, on my skin with L'Homme, I think before it was like 6 to 8 or something like that, and now, honestly, it's 6 to like 12 on my skin. L'Homme Sport, on the other hand, is a 4 to 6 hour affair. It's clearly weaker on the onset, and it's clearly weaker going through the fragrance-wise. It doesn't have the projection that L'Homme actually has on it. L'Homme Sport doesn't have the projection that L'Homme has, and L'Homme Sport also doesn't have the sillage, or in general the performance. So overall, the performance on L'Homme Sport is weaker. Expect about 4 to 6 hours of performance on this, and a little below average performance and sillage and everything like that. As far as the versatility of the scent, it still retains awesome versatility. L'Homme is one that you could pretty much wear on any occasion, and that doesn't change with L'Homme Sport. Again, they're very similar fragrances, so that's not really surprising on it. L'Homme Sport, you can really wear anywhere at all. Now, if we're looking at the season-wise, here's where it gets a little bit iffy. Now, L'Homme, it's one of my fall staples. L'Homme is one of my fall staples. Sometimes I may wear it in spring, but it's definitely one of my fall staples. L'Homme Sport, on the other hand, I think the way that it's been subdued and taken down, I actually think it's good for spring, fall, and summer. I think you can pull this one off in the summer. I don't think it's gonna, and so far it hasn't been cloying enough. I mean, we're not in summer officially, but I have worn it on hot days, and it hasn't been, cloying. It's actually done pretty well on it. So on those type of scenarios, this actually does a little bit better. When it's hotter, I think this does better than the original does. The original can get cloying if you're not careful, basically. And age group, I think any age group can pull L'Homme Sport off. Any age group can go ahead and wear this one, and that's really another strength for this one. So if we go into, as with all my fragrances, I take them, I have 100 people smell it, I have 100 people give their opinion on it. Of the 100 people that I took it to, there were 79 people who liked it. The overwhelming majority of people liked it. They said that it was fresh, pleasing, and clean. Of the people that disliked it, there were 15 people who disliked it. Of the 15, they said that it reminded them of BO, and that's probably because of the coriander. It wasn't on my skin that they were smelling it on, but it was more on their skin that they were smelling it on. And they said that it reminded them of BO. They said that it was too spicy. And one person even said that it was too typical, basically. So I guess he had a little bit more experience with fragrances, but that's what they said. And there were 6 people who were in the neutral zone. So if I'm going to go ahead and give this fragrance a rating, I give it a rating of a 7 out of 10. L'Homme Sport gets a 7 out of 10. L'Homme got an 8 out of 10, and I put it that way for a reason. The reason being simply is, if you are the owner of L'Homme, which many people do own, I mean, this has been around in the community, this has been around for fragrance enthusiasts for a long time. If you have L'Homme, I do not believe that you need L'Homme Sport. Again, if you have L'Homme, I do not believe that you have L'Homme Sport. They both smell similar enough that I believe I actually like the fact that this projects a little bit more. I like the fact that it lasts a little bit more, and it's a little bit better for that reason. If you don't have either of them, my suggestion would be to go with Homme. That said, try them out. Because I have noticed there are people who do like and naturally speaking, who like the scent of this a little bit better than Homme. So they both take two different curves. So the only one thing, and even among those people, they say that this Homme Sport lasts a little bit better than the original. So if I'm to sum it up, I'd have to say that really try it between the two. Try and see which one that you like best, and then go with one accordingly. But I do think that they both smell similar enough that you don't really want to go with both of them. There's really no reason to have both. Whereas something like a Homme, La Nuit de Homme, is different enough from Homme. It's much different enough from Homme to warrant having both of those fragrances, like I do. Whereas these two, not so much, and that really sums up why I didn't buy Homme Sport. That doesn't take away from how good of a fragrance it is, though. I just don't think that it's as good as the original. But that's just my opinion, okay? So, as always, feel free. Let me know what your experiences are with Homme Sport down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.